Minister of Basic Education said during a press briefing yesterday that schools will gradually reopen for learners from June the 1st. Angie Motshekga, the Basic Education Minister, said that her department is working on implementing operating procedures to contain and manage the spread of the coronavirus once schools open. Joining us now is Chris Klopper, the Chief Executive of the South African Teachers Union. Chris, great to have you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program.
Good morning to you and to your viewers.
So before we talk about your response to what the Minister has said, let's first address the list of demands you sent to government with regard to the opening of schools.
Well, our biggest demand was that safety precautions to ensure the health and safety of teachers and learners is of paramount importance, and that must be provided timeously before you can consider reopening. Secondly, that we will have to consider the trimming of the curriculum to ensure, that the primary building blocks of all learners in the system are met, and that we can actually, promote learners with peace of mind to next year's grades.
So in terms of what the Minister said yesterday, the proposed date that learners will be gradually phased in is the 1st of June. Do you think that this is possible, and what is your response to that?
I think it is possible. If you look at the phasing in approach, on next week, Monday, the departmental officials will return and they will start, with their own business and getting the system up and running. A week after that, the school management team, the administrative staff and the cleaning staff to clean the schools. And then on the 1st of June, we're looking at the learners for grade 12 and 7, and we believe that if you look at what has been done to ensure that the curriculum will be covered, we think that there is ample time, especially for the grade 12s, to be able to cover the curriculum and make sure, that they can enter the national senior certificate exams, with a certain sense of peace of mind.
So the Education Department has obviously put a list of safety measures in place that needed to be abided by all schools. We're talking to hygiene, we're talking to sanitation, we're talking to supplying masks to all of the learners, and also that the distance, each child sitting at one desk. I mean, these things have all been implemented, but do you think this is sufficient? And again, I ask you the same question. These schools, many of them have been struggling for years with none of those basics in place. How is this going to be done within a month?
Some of those issues, I think the question of water to all schools is going to be a tough task to comply with that. I think we also have to bear in mind that many of these issues will not be addressed in time, and that other, emergency measures will have to be implemented. The question of social distance is going to be extremely difficult in schools, but what we also know from discussions with the NICD is that about 50 to 8% of learners, are asymptomatic, and that it will be difficult to identify the systems at school, and that is where the real challenge will lie, to ensure, that there is not infection to and fro from the various communities to the schools, and that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah. How are teachers feeling? Obviously, you've been in touch with the teachers. How are they feeling about this? Are they feeling a little bit nervous? Are they welcoming it? Are they wanting to get back into the academic year? Or do they have their own fears?
We conducted a poll, and more than 22,000 of our members participated. And the feeling that came out is that teachers are willing to go back, and they wish to go back, provided, that the safety measures are put in place, because they are more vulnerable than young kids. They do not have the immune systems that young kids have. And we believe that if the safety measures are in place, I think we can start with the schools, and it will be a safe school year for all. But we have to bear in mind the reality that the peak of infections are expected in September, October. And it's something that we will have to live with, not only for this year, but if you look at all what the experts say, is that you're going to live with this for the next 2 to 3 years.
All right, Chris, unfortunately, lots more to ask, but I have to leave it there. We've got to close off the show. Thanks very, very much for joining us here on the program. Of course, Chris is the Chief Executive of the South African Teachers Union.